Okay, Tov. So yesterday we began to discuss the whole concept of writing on Chol HaMoed, and we explained that, in conclusion, for Sfaradim it is permissible to write Melechet Hediot. One can write on Chol HaMoed, provided that it is done in the usual manner of writing, nothing professional, nothing extra. We're talking about writing with one's handwriting, as long as it's needed for the Moed. So shopping lists, you can write on Chol HaMoed if you're going shopping for Chol HaMoed or for the second part of Yom Tov. You can send letters to someone to say thank you if it's necessary for the Moed itself, and so on. Whereas the Rama says that although the halakha follows that, it's good to perhaps be strict and write a bit sloppy, and this is why some Ashkenazim will write with the left hand, even if they need it for the Moed. Now, there's a number of points here with regards to the Shulchan Aruch. Firstly, now which we've said that one is allowed to write in a regular way of writing on Chol HaMoed for the purposes of Chol HaMoed, is only if shelo yichaven belachto b'moed. This is a general rule. One cannot leave things from before the moed to do on Chol HaMoed, even if it's for the purposes of the moed, and even if it's melechet hediot. So say, for example, you know well in advance that you're going out for Shabbat Chol HaMoed, you're invited out. And you need to write a card to say thank you with the gift you give. And you have the opportunity to do so before Chol HaMoed. You've got time, and you think to yourself, I'm not going to write it now. I'll write it on Chol HaMoed. I'm allowed to write on Chol HaMoed. It's for the purposes of the Moed. So I'll leave it to them. That's not allowed. Because there you're being mechaven melachto b'moed. You're intentionally leaving it for Chol HaMoed, and that's not allowed. Of course, one doesn't have to do it before. If one doesn't have the time, one didn't think about it, and Chol HaMoed comes and I need to write a card, then of course you can. But to intentionally push it off and to leave it till after, that is something which is not allowed, even though one is allowed to write on the Moed for the Moed with regular writing. So that's point number one. One cannot intentionally push off things he needs to do on Chol HaMoed, push it off from before the Moed when he has the opportunity to do so, to do on Moed. Of course, you don't have to do it before if you don't have the opportunity to do so. But if you have the opportunity, you can't push it off to the Moed. That's number one. Number two, we will discuss this in great detail. But the principle, we've touched on this already, the principle of Davar Ha'aved. You're allowed to do all melachot on Chol HaMoed for something which will be lost, something which you won't be able to do after the Moed. You're not going to have the opportunity to do it after the Moed. And therefore, the Shulchan Aruch rules a number of things. A, that say someone asks you this was in those days when somebody, an agent, a shaliach came with a letter to the rabbi, asked him for a ruling. And that ruling is not necessary for the Moed. It's a general ruling which can wait a week. But the person who's delivering the question and re-delivering back the response, he can't hang around. He needs to go back. So this is considered Davar Ha'aved. If I don't do it now, I'm not going to be able to do it at all. And then it's permissible to write on Chol HaMoed the response. In a similar vein, Shulchan Aruch, although this was a debate, some Rishonim disagreed, but the Shulchan Aruch rules, and this is the halakha, that one can write Hidushe Torah. One can write Torah. One studying Torah on Chol HaMoed, and one wants to write down some points which they've thought about, or to summarize what they've been learning. That's permissible to write. Why? Because if I don't write it down now, I'm not going to remember it till next week after Sukkot, after Pesach. I'm going to forget it. And therefore it's considered Davar Ha'aved. It's considered something which I'm going to lose if I don't do it now, and thus it is permissible to do. Therefore, by the way, the Taz, Rabbi David Halevi Siegel from the 15th, 16th century, writes about his father-in-law, the Beit Hadash, Rabbi Yoel Sirkis, that he writes clearly that he would write Torah on Chol HaMoed because he felt if I don't do it now, I'm not going to be able to do it after. And the same idea, if one is reading the Sefer Torah on Chol HaMoed and one sees a mistake. Now, there's many Sefer Torah in the Beit Knesset. Why do I have to fix it now? I can leave it till after the Moed. And really one should try to do that. But if one is concerned that they're going to lose the place, they're going to forget, it's not going to be done, if we don't do it now, this is how things go, we'll leave it till next year and people forget, etc., then one can do it on Chol HaMoed, because if you don't do it now, it's not going to be done afterwards as well. Reb Shem Zalman Auerbach writes as well that if you found something, a lost article, you want to announce it, again, you can leave it till after the Moed. No, but do it now, because the person who's lost it may be looking for it now. It's necessary now if you don't do it now, and therefore it's all permissible to write on Chol HaMoed because it's considered Davar Ha'avet. So to summarize, we've established already that one's allowed to write on Chol HaMoed Melechet Hediot regularly. However, one cannot intentionally and purposefully leave things to write on Chol HaMoed, even if it's for the purposes of Chol HaMoed. And secondly, one is allowed to write anything which even isn't for the purpose of the Moed, if it's something which won't be able to keep after the Moed. So therefore, we've said one can write Torah, one can write anything, which if one doesn't right now, there's a chance they will forget to do after Chol HaMoed. Next time, we'll talk about electronic, uh, computers, phones, writing on phones, printing. Hashem, that will be.